Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is July 2nd. Right now we're going to take a look at the mid-level water vapor loop. If we look at yesterday, you can see that cone low north of the Hawaiian Islands here. There's Washington and Oregon, but I want you to watch this area across Pacific Ocean. This is the driver of our huge heat wave rolling in here over the next few days, and it's going to hang on with us through this weekend and on into early next week for some areas. If I put this into motion, you see this clockwise rotation out here over the Pacific Ocean. That is that ridge. It's going to just dominate our weather here across much of the west coast of North America, and we're going to dive into those details as we go through the video this morning. I've also got some interesting topics here to check out as far as temperatures are concerned based on where you live, so stay tuned for that. Now, taking a look at Spokane, Washington, look at Omak up towards 100, Moses Lake over 100, Lewiston 103 on Sunday, Wenatchee, Spokane approaching 100 as well. Stay hydrated, you guys know the drill. Fuels will continue to get drier here, especially across portions of Oregon. We're going to look at that here starting now with the National Weather Service, Medford, Oregon. Very hot and dry conditions. And watch your fireworks here, because as we go into the weekend, we're really going to run into some favorable fire conditions. So any fires ongoing here are really have the potential to take advantage of that. Now, taking a look at the incoming summer heat wave. So temperatures averaging 10 to 20 degrees warmer than climatological norms for this time of summer. So it's already warm during summertime. So when you go 10 to 20 degrees above that here, that's why we talk about it. That's why it's very noteworthy here. I know people like to say, well, it's summer. This happens every year. Well, it happens most years, but when it does happen, it's still noteworthy to talk about here. If it was 10 to 20 degrees below normal in the winter, we'd be talking about it as well. This is a Weather Channel after all. So if we take a look at Hermiston, Oregon, here, look at that 105 by the time we get towards this weekend. Pasco 105, the Tri-Cities very warm as well. And yeah, Bend, Oregon even approaching or exceeding 100 degrees here as we go through the weekend. Now, taking a look at thunderstorm potential mainly across BC, the Rockies, Alberta out there, extreme northeast Washington, Panhandle, and some of western Montana, and something similar here as we go through the day tomorrow. But looking at SeaTac yesterday, 76 degrees, 74 for the average high for this time of year. We top out about 79 as we go through July here, and then we start the slow downward trend as we head on in through August. We're also very dry here across the Pacific Northwest during the summer months. Some of the driest, or one of the driest places in the entire country here. We only average 0.6 of an inch of rain for the month of July here, for example. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station to record some of this weather data for you at your own home, this station builds its own forecast for your individual location. It's got a lightning detection system. You can click on these individual parameters here. They bring up graphs. Very exciting to watch this when it's at your house, and it tells you when it starts raining here. It's got a haptic rain gauge, ultrasonic anemometer, solar panels here, and the thermometer is quite accurate. So again, click on that link down below if you want to save 10% off on that station. Taking a look at the European model here on the left versus the GFS on the right. This is the actual 500 millibar heights. This is the 500 millibar heights with the anomaly on the GFS ensemble mean here on the right. So if I put this into motion, you'll notice that we have really good model agreement. This heat wave is on its way, folks. And when you talk about these yellows and the oranges and the reds here on the GFS showing the anomaly, that's the above average heights for this time of year. That's why we're going to get so warm. And you can see where the storm system is going to be here as we scroll on in towards this weekend, well out over the Pacific Ocean, helping to amplify this ridge along the west coast of North America, giving us our very warm conditions. If we take a look at the GFS, this one is hot off the presses. This is a deterministic. This one just takes the initial conditions best we understand them, and it runs with it here. And so as we scroll through later this week and on into this week, and very slow moving ridge here that will be dominating our weather, and you can see the system kind of just not making much headway at least to the mid portion of next week. But then you see we get a little bit of flattening of the ridge here, and then the GFS eventually wants to swing a system through here as we go on in towards the end of the following week here. But you're looking over 10 days out. You take that with a grain of salt, and we'll be watching that as we go day by day. So if we take a look at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, check it out. 94 degrees showing up on the European run here, and pretty warm temperatures on the bookends of that here. You see Monday 88, Saturday coming to 89, 4th of July pretty nice at 79 as well. But look at the GFS starting to really ramp up some of these temperatures. So this is the ensemble mean here for the GFS. So Sunday and Monday looking very hot. I mean, when you get 90 degrees in Seattle, that's an extremely hot temperature. So this is a pretty substantial heat wave rolling in here, no doubt. But you can see still some model disagreement on just how warm we're going to get. This is the 6 to 10 day above average. This should be no surprise. You've been watching the channel here for the last few days, and the below average signal for precipitation. Now stay with me here. I usually show these at the end of the video, but I've got a lot more to show you starting now. So here we go with Seattle, Tacoma. Again, the red line is the average high for this time of year, right around the mid 70s. And you can see we're going to be almost 20 degrees above some of those readings here. And the very warm overnight lows. A lot of the houses in the Pacific Northwest are built to deal with cold weather, and they're very well insulated, and they've got upstairs, and people don't have air conditioning units. Imagine being a senior citizen and being in an upstairs room when you're dealing with these temperatures, and these very warm temperatures overnight don't provide much relief. As you see, the average is the blue line there, and we're very warm in these overnight hours, and it gets really hot during the daytime here. So that's why this is a big deal here across the Pacific Northwest. Now look at Portland exceeding 100 degrees with very warm overnight lows as well. Now remember this, I'm showing you Portland here, right around 100 degrees. If we look at Fresno, 115. Now I'm going to show you the wet bulb globe temperature here, which takes into account the direct rays of the sun, the wind, things like dew point and whatnot, and acclimation. It takes that into account as well. So it is a factor. Now taking a look at Portland, look at this. As we go on in towards this weekend, you're looking at high and even some extreme values possibly developing here on the wet bulb globe temperature, which again takes into account sun and wind and dew point, and it takes into your region of acclimation as well, because human beings acclimate differently. If you go back to Fresno, you can see, even though it was predicting 115, you can see as far as the acclimation of any individual out there, it's going to be much different, moderate and maybe towards high, but not some of those extreme values. And that's because of the region this is calculated in. And you can see those regions here. The dark red here is region 3. The regular red is region 2, and the yellow is region 1. So of course Portland and Fresno are going to be different here, but just kind of showing you that a heat wave, just because these temperatures are only 100 in Portland, or I shouldn't say only, but it's a pretty extreme temperature, but still Fresno at 115, you have different ways that people handle this. You're not used to it across the Pacific Northwest, for example. Now, if we take a look at the wet bulb globe temperature, you can actually look at these values here on the National Plan of Models, and you can let these play through. I'm going to scroll all the way out towards this weekend coming up here, and there is, actually I went a little bit too far. Let me scroll back through there one more time. And as we go off in towards the end of the week, you can see these values starting to creep up here as we go through Friday, then eventually through Saturday here. So you can kind of see that heat wave along the west coast of North America here. Fun stuff, wet bulb globe temperature. Go ahead and Google that if you want to know more information about it. Now here's Brookings, Oregon. Check it out on some of the coastal areas. This is right along the immediate coast, but if you get those offshore winds, it can just shows you how darn right warm you can get with those compression winds coming off the coastal areas, and then perhaps dropping back down to some normal temperatures as we go through the weekend coming up. It's still maybe a little above the average, and you can see the big difference in some of the ensemble runs here with the blue line kind of showing you that some of the models keep it pretty hot there, so you can tell the difference between the offshore and the onshore flow here. Now taking a look at Bend, Oregon, very warm temperatures with very warm overnight lows as well. Look at this 105 on Saturday. This is Bellingham. Check it out though, only lower 80s there. Not bad. So if you want to take a trip up north or out to the San Juans or Whidbey Island, you can really still beat the heat here across Pacific Northwest if you just pick the right places to go. Now taking a look here at the 7-day significant fire potential. So as you see, as we go towards Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, you have some areas with this critical burn environment here, again, across some southern and eastern slopes of the Cascades of Oregon here. So be very careful with your fireworks, because we're going to be dealing with some very favorable fire conditions as we roll off in towards the weekend and early portions of the next week here as well. So yeah, heads up for that. But anyway, we'll break things down again tomorrow. Tomorrow's July 3rd, so we'll have a little bit more accurate 4th of July temperature forecast here. We'll continue to see just how much we're going to warm up. How hot are we going to get this weekend? Do we have any chance of getting to the upper 90s for Seattle, or are we going to end up in the lower 90s, maybe closer to 90? How warm are we going to get here across the region? So interesting stuff. It's always something fun to look at here when you do get these heat waves across the Pacific Northwest. People do freak out, and it's all relative, as I showed you on that wet bulb globe temperature thing there. So we'll revisit that again tomorrow. We'll check out some of those values. Maybe we'll do it for Seattle. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, hope you guys are liking the channel. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.